Okay, folks, well, I did a 17-minute video on this subject, and we have to start again because of some unforeseen technical difficulties, including a lot of traffic noise. So I'm starting a little bit differently today. I'm starting at the house, and then we're going to take a walk, and we're going to talk about our subject. Today's subject is Lupe Velez, the famed late Mexican actress who unfortunately committed suicide in 1944 in the house behind me. It's a beautiful house on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. Right up the block is Sunset Boulevard. And I had all kinds of things in the other video, but suffice to say I'd already done them in another vlog, so it just would have been a repeat. So we're going to come around to the front of the house now, and then talk about Miss Velez. And again, folks, or not again, because I said it in the last video, what I want to say is if I'm butchering these names with my poor Spanish pronunciation, I apologize. Here's another view of the home, the front. Obviously it didn't look like this in the 40s, but they've rebuilt it in a very nice kind of neo-Mediterranean kind of style. I'm not sure if that's a phrase, but it sounds good. Neo-Mediterranean. Probably isn't. Let's talk about Lupe Velez. She was born Guadalupe Velez de Villalobos. And again, I hope I'm not butchering the accent. I do have some notes because there's so much to say about her. And I'm also going to show you some of the houses here along Rodeo Drive. By the way, not many, one or two people have said to me, you know, your night videos don't get as much traction as your day videos. Well, one of the reasons is, you see the one I just did at the Beverly Hills Hotel, the traffic is so loud and so bad, I can't even hear myself think over this. Now, the traffic here on Rodeo right now is not too bad, but at night you can hear a pin drop, which is another reason I like the night videos. Anyway, suffice it to say, we're getting back to talking about Lupe Velez. She was known throughout her career as the Hot Tamale, the owner of the Hot Cha, and the Mexican Spitfire, because she did a series of films in the 40s called the Mexican Spitfire, which kind of revived her career after kind of a lull. I like seeing these gorgeous homes too as we walk, day and night, especially night, but doing it during the day for you. In 1908, Lupe Velez was born Lupe de Villalobos at that time, was born in a suburb of Mexico City. Look at that beautiful home behind us. Reminds me of Palm Springs, the desert. Her mother was an opera singer. Her father was an officer in the Mexican army. At one point, I guess when she was a teenager, they sent her off to convent school across the border in San Antonio, Texas, because they said she was just too rambunctious. When her father died, she returned to Mexico. She returned to her home with her sisters and her mother to help, with the idea that she would help work and support the family. But she was so beautiful that she she wanted to go into show business. Her sisters supported that. Her mother supported it. So in 1926, she arrived in Los Angeles penniless. But it didn't take young Lupe time to really get moving, because she started out as a dancer. She got a job dancing, and that was really her, her forte. Although later, when she was depressed in her life and near suicidal, which unfortunately eventually she said, I can't do anything well, I can't act well, I can't dance well. But she was quite the dancer. Another big dog coming, so I got to be on alert because I got my little guy here. So as she was building her dancing career, she was already getting offers to go to Broadway, but she rebuffed them because what she really wanted was a career in the movies. So that's what she held out for, and it wasn't really very long until she started to get what she wanted. Their first film, I believe, was her first film, was in 1927. And it was for Hal Roach Studios, but the one that really made a splash was the following year, in 1928. She did a film called The Gaucho, and The Gaucho was with Douglas Fairbanks. So she was already in the big league, right at the beginnings of Hollywood. Now, originally Gaucho was kind of written and conceived with Dolores Del Rio in mind, and Dolores Del Rio would become kind of her bad hair day, sweaty too. It's hot today. Dolores Del Rio would become her rival for the rest of her career, but the part ultimately went to Lupe. Now in 1929, she was already getting to be a star from just that one film, Gaucho. She began in a relationship, a torrid relationship, or affair as they called it, with Gary Cooper. And interesting also because Gary Cooper was like, I don't know, 6'2", I think, and Lupe was 5'1". So must have been something on the dance floor, huh? They actually even lived together for a while in the Hollywood Hills, but Gary Cooper's parents put an end to the relationship, as did the studio. You know, he's probably threatened with, "You'll never work again unless you break this off." So in 1933, and by the way, Lupe always said she could control every man until the last man she was with, and unfortunately, he was named in her suicide note. But I'm watching my dog go crazy in the grass here. What are you doing, man? You ever wonder why dogs roll around in the grass like that? Loves this Beverly Hills grass. Come on, you. Now he's going to sneeze. Anyway, so she married Johnny Weissmuller, Tarzan actor, in 1933. And actually, I did a vlog on Weissmuller's home up in Bel Air, one of his homes, gorgeous mansion up there. In fact, Mick Jagger had rented that same house, you know, decades later, and John Phillips lived there for a couple of years. John Phillips and the Mamas and the Papas. A beautiful mansion which had basically a lake winding around the property, which Weissmuller used as a lap swimming pool, or at least a one-lane swimming pool. But anyway, she married Johnny Weissmuller, and professionally and personally things were going better for a time. She went off to Broadway. He was doing his thing, you know, Tarzan and otherwise. And then they gave her a contract. They gave Lupe a contract to be at MGM along with her husband. So great for publicity, right? Both at the same studio. Problem was, among other things, they fought like cats and dogs. I mean, her relationships were, by her own account, very tumultuous. I always have a problem with the pronunciation of that word. So eventually that marriage did end. But, you know, it made for a lot of publicity, obviously, as relationships do, and they still do. Name any Hollywood relationship now where there's, you know, public drunken fights between couples, celebrities, and always makes the news. Okay, so, like I said, she did the Mexican Spitfire series from 1940 to 43. That really kind of revived her career, and everything I had known about, I hadn't heard of the other nicknames till I researched her. Everything I had known about her was Lupe was the Mexican Spitfire, and now I know why she got the name. Now, in 1943, she met an unemployed actor named Harold Raymond. They had a romance, and in November of 1944, she announced in a very happy manner that they were engaged. Unfortunately, by December 10th, the wedding was off, and she said the relationship was over. And within days, she was already talking about suicide. Now, what people didn't know, and we'll have to speculate on how this contributed to the end of the relationship, was that Lupe was 4 months pregnant by the time when they broke up. Now, she was faced with quite the dilemma here. She was still a practicing Catholic, and really the idea of abortion was abhorrent to her. That was not going to happen. That was not an option. But also the idea of having a illegitimate child to a man who, I don't even know if they were speaking at that point, that was not an option either. So she even conceived of an idea of having the baby and sort of saying to the world that it belonged to one of her sisters. And I think her sisters were living in the Beverly Hills mansion that I just showed you at that time anyway. We'll never know if any of that would have happened, because a couple days after the announcement that the engagement was over, she attended a screening of a film. And she was talking suicidal or pseudo-suicidal at the screening. Life's not worth living. She was depressed. She came home that night, and her sisters were not there that night. So again, in fact, I believe she was alone. And I don't know if the sisters were living there or just visiting, but all the research I've done just says the sisters were not there. By all accounts, got into her blue silk pajamas, took an overdose of sleeping pills, was found by her housekeeper, who was also probably her best friend at that time. Also was the executrix of her will, and the housekeeper received a third of the estate. So very good friends. But she was found by the housekeeper. The housekeeper, this is Tinder, called the police. Police came and pronounced Lupe dead. Now, for some reason, there was no autopsy performed, but the manner of death was said to be suicide by ingestion of barbiturates. I think it was Seconal, sleeping pills. Now, the interesting thing is there is one more story that says that Lupe took the sleeping pills, made her sick to her stomach, went to go get sick in the bathroom, tripped on the tile, ended up hitting her head, and that's what broke her neck and what ultimately killed her. You know, we'll never know. One's a little more salacious than the other. We'll never know what the actual cause was. But that's one of the stories. So, a little bit different today. I'm sorry the other video didn't work out. Like I said, I had loud FedEx drops. Loud. It's so nice at night, but you don't see as much, so it's a trade-off, right? Tell me your opinion, by the way. Would you guys be comfortable watching, you know, on the night shot of these houses I do in Beverly Hills mostly, even though you can't see as well, you just see the lights of the home, because it's so much more quiet. Parking's easier too. Anyway, that's the story of Lupe Velez, and I hope you appreciate it. Like I said, a little bit different this one because I was in front of the house when I had to start over again because something happened with the other video. Look at this home here on the corner. My God, that's a beauty, huh? Yeah. All right, folks. Well, my name is Ron. If you like my channel, please give me likes. Please give the channel likes and individual videos likes, because I guess it's always the individual videos. That really gives me traction with YouTube. And comment in the comment section if you see fit. And also, please subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And if you do subscribe, push the bell icon next to the subscribe button, and that will give you indications as to when I post. Okay, folks, I'm going to call it there. Again, my name is Ron. Appreciate you watching and listening, and we'll see you at the next location. Thank you, and bye-bye.